ayudaran a excusar estos 15 minutos de retraso. Hubiéramos querido ser lo más puntuales posible, pero hay asuntos que no dependen exactamente de la voluntad de quienes presidimos un panel, sino también de la espera de personas que pudieran incorporarse porque están incluidos dentro del programa y no se encuentran. Aún cuando hay muchas personas que hacen una omisión de esa importancia, que este encuentro internacional tenga en cuenta el asunto del género, es para nosotros también expresión de la sensibilidad de las personas que se movilizan en torno a un asunto tan delicado e indispensable en el humanismo del mundo contemporáneo.
Bueno, voy a repasar los nombres de los ponentes para saber si ya estamos todos y, bueno, dar comienzo al trabajo en la comisión. Estaba previsto para las 9 de la mañana. Kojiro Yagi, ¿está? Con el trabajo Realization of the Gender Equal Society. No. Elena Pontes exacto, sí. Ella está prevista para hacer su ponencia en esta comisión, pero ha decidido, es decir, por decisión de la comisión de organización y debido al tema que trata, ha pasado a otra comisión, pero está con nosotros y va a participar en esta comisión también. El profesor Yasuhiro Tokoro se encuentra con nosotros. Gender Equality. Por último, Iris Gerner. New Solo Mothers Use Social Media. Ok. Bueno, comenzamos con usted porque es la única ponente que tenemos en este momento. Esperemos que se vayan incorporando los demás ponentes, pero bueno, para no atrasar el trabajo en la comisión, vamos a comenzar.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. My name is Dr. Iris Gertner. I'm a lecturer at the Hadassah Academic College in Jerusalem in Israel. And my focus researches is in consumer behavior of the first-time mother. My study here is about the digital consumption behavior of the first-time mother, especially the solo mothers. Solo mothers are not parented mothers, having not any partnership with them. And I wish to examine the factors that influence the consumption behavior, especially the social media behaviors, about their consumption behavior of the first-time mother. So I hope you'll enjoy it, and let me start. Okay, first of all, the online consumption in general and in Israel especially was very changed very much dramatically during the 2020, based on the COVID-19. The outbreak has made the e-commerce consumption far more central part of the consumer shopping habits than it was previously. For me, it's okay. For me, it's okay. As long as for them, it's okay. What do you prefer? You prefer light or you prefer dark? That's it? Good? What do you prefer? Maybe, okay. In Israel, in 2020, the social consumption has increased by 30% as compared to 2090, sorry. And in 2021, the digital consumption raised within 24%. Since the COVID-19, the consumption behavior, Okay. Since COVID-19. Okay, so I'll wait. Okay, no problem.
Pero no se está recibiendo.
Okay, no problem. No, no, it's okay. Buenos días. This is the only thing I know in Spanish. My name is Dr. Iris Gertner Mor Yosef, and I'm a lecturer at the Hadassah Academic College in Israel. And my study focuses on digital consumption behavior of the first-time mother, especially the first-time solo mothers in Israel. I wish to examine the factors that influence the consumption behavior, social media behavior, and fashion involvement of the babies, goods, and products. I wish you a pleasant listening. By the second quarter of 2020, our lives, as we know, had changed significantly. The outbreak that made e-commerce consumption as far as a central part of consumer shopping than it was previously. In Israel, during 2020, social consumption increased by 13% as compared to 2019, and in 2021, the digital consumption has raised within 24%. Since COVID-19, the consumption behavior has increased and consumers show a desire to indulge themselves in a massive buying. On the other hand, loyalty is very hard to maintain, especially in the social networking, because the consumer is often searching for a new product, better price, better proposition within the internet. The social network inside the SNS have become an increasingly common aspect of our daily life. And it has the following aspects. It's very interactively because the consumer involves during the consumption. It has a lot of information during the consumption. We search and we informed our very much information, and the reliability. We trust the information on the social networking is very high. My main focus was in becoming the mother for the first time. I wanted to find out how women for the first time become a mother and what are the transition includes. Becoming a mother for the first time is very dramatic and change. Influence the new mother cells, influence her identity and her priorities. She's having very uncertainties, fears and doubts related to her new roles. She's asking herself, will I be a good mother? What is a good mother? And this is called the possible selves. She's using the products and goods that is buying for the baby as a resemble of her identity, and in the eyes of herself and in the eyes of the surrounded. I mean, what you buy is what you are. And if I buy good things and good products for my baby, it means that I am a good mother. This is her perspective, especially for the first-time mother. There are 3 stages during becoming the mother. The first one is in the first trimester, in the 3 earlier months. The mother is collecting information regarding her new stage, asking the family and her neighbors what is to be pregnant, and she still doesn't make any changes, but she's still just adapting her new stage. The second is the second trimester, is she's accepting her bodily changes and buying clothes, special nutrition and new hobbies for herself as a pregnant mother. I mean, very much medicine and OTC, as well as other products for her to be a pregnant mother and to be a good and a wealthy pregnant mother. And the third trimester is the third stage. She's expecting a choice, going to the sperm bank and has her own child, or by a force, what we call as a divorced mother or a widow. The percentage in Israel in the solo mother has increased very significantly from 3.5% in the 2020 to double itself to about 7% in the 2021. There are familiar characteristics to the solo mothers. She's more educated, she's less security with her new role, but she's very high economy, she's having a high salary, and but she's feeling alone. So it's complex about her decision. From the one hand, she's very high educated and has an increased income, and on the other hand, she is feeling alone, and she is afraid since she's alone. She's not having any other partner. Well, my aims and goals during this study was first of all to determine the characteristics that are characterize the mother, or especially the solo mother, since there are few studies all over the world, and especially in Israel, that are related to the consumption behavior of solo mothers. And I wanted to ask myself and to see the main factors that affect her consumption behavior. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, the methodology was very simple. We used open questionnaires, online questionnaires to solo mothers, and we collect about 135 questionnaires. We ask them about their habits, their consumption behavior, about the products that they are buying, what is the feeling, and why do they buy these products, especially during the first time mother. Okay? Well, we have some significant results. First of all, the new mother, the new solo mother, has high involvement during her consumption behavior. She's very afraid about the product, even if it's less prices, as well as if it's a stroller or a bed for the baby. She's spending a lot of time during to a collection, a lot of information. She wishes to be the ideal mother. She has a fear since she is the only parent, and she wants the other environment to see that even though that she decided to bring her boy for the first time alone, she is a good mother and she is a good person. Okay? The digital consumption for the baby goods are frequently influenced by the social media and friends, family, and her own opinion, but mainly the social media, and only at the end her own opinion. I mean, the new solo mother, she can be high-techistic, she can be high income, she can be high educated, she can have a great career, but on the first time that she becomes a mother, she doesn't know anything. She feels so afraid, so she doesn't trust herself. She doesn't trust her opinion. She trusts the social media and then her friends and family. She has a lot of advantage during the digital consumptions. The availability, she can be staying at home with her baby, with her first baby, and use all the products all over the world with very including social networking and social interaction, with not going out of the house. The delivery is back to home. She doesn't have to go to the shop and buy it. This is very convenient to her. She used the social networking on a daily uses at least twice a day. We shall see it in a minute. And the main purpose of her consumption behavior, social consumption behavior, is to find the good products, the best product with the lowest price. She mainly buy low involvement products, well familiar, well known, and available products with high sensitivity, like toys, like clothes, like shampoos or cosmetic goods during her consumption behavior. We also see that the main purpose of the digital consumption is data collection. She's collect a lot of data during the social networks, and only buy the toys or clothes to the boys. But the main purpose of her social networking is data collection. She has a lot of expectations from the social networking. She wants to have a fair price and a return option, and there is a negative relationship between age and the internet usage of the mother. I mean, the more older the mother is, the less uses of the social networking she is using. Interesting. We also see a positive relationship between the parent or the mother education and the internet use. The high educated the mother is, the high usages of the internet she is using. and there is a positive relationship with their income. I mean, the more salary the mother will have, the more educated the mother will have, then the more usage, the more frequently she is using the social network. For conclusion, we can say that most of the mother consumption behavior is a high involvement. She is very afraid of her newborn and her newborn products, and she's blogging the internet and using the social networking mainly to collect data, and then she decides what to buy after asking also the social networking as well as the family and her newborn and her neighbors. The negative relationship was seen, as I said, between the age. Positive relationship we saw in the study was between the education and her income. For summary, I can say that the online consumption is increased and has increased during and based on the COVID-19, and we consider that the shopping behavior and the internet is the major source of information for new mothers, especially solo mothers. So we advise the marketers in Israel, I think it's all over the world, we advise them to promote their goods and products using the internet, as well as to inform all the negative and the positive advantage of the products during the internet, because the mother, she doesn't settle with the advantage of the product. She wants to see also the negative or the disadvantage of the product. So we advise all the marketers in Israel to promote their products during the internet, and especially during the using the social networking. For the future research, I'm doing now the digital consumption mother after birth in her second baby, also parented versus solo mothers, and I hope to see a very interesting result and to show it and present it to you in the next conference. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias. Thank you.
Abierta entonces la disposición que tengan ustedes de intervenir en torno a este tema.
Sí, cómo no. Elena Pontes va a hacer una intervención. ¿Puede hablar en portugués ella?
Bem, eu vou aproveitar. Meu nome é Helena Pontes, eu sou pesquisadora da Faculdade de Direito da Universidade de São Paulo. Pronto? Estava aguardando a outra pesquisadora. Sou estudante de Direito da Faculdade de São Paulo, da Universidade de São Paulo. Houve uma confusão na organização e colocaram um artigo que eu propus para esse... Não? Sim.
Agora sim.
Vocês querem que eu comece do início ou eu posso continuar?
Yes.
Ok. Meu nome é Helena Pontes. Sou pesquisadora do Grupo de Pesquisa Trabalho e Capital da Faculdade de Direito da Universidade de São Paulo. Por uma questão da organização, eu fiz uma proposição de um artigo, de 3 artigos, e 2 deles foram aceitos, e esse apareceu, que não foi o aceito, foi o que apareceu no programa. Então, aproveitando que a gente tem esse tempo, gostaria de trocar algumas informações sobre essa pesquisa que realizei quando fiz especialização em estudos afro-latino-americanos junto do Conselho Latino-Americano de Ciências Sociais, a CLACSO. Nessa pesquisa, nós levantamos como na legislação brasileira trabalhista, as precarizações são sempre testadas contra corpos negros, contra corpos de mulheres negras especificamente. Então, como todas as nossas mudanças precarizantes do direito do trabalho foram primeiro colocados legislados, positivados em categorias que eram majoritariamente compostas por mulheres negras, como a do salão parceiro, que seria as manicures, as cabeleireiras, etc., e as empregadas domésticas, assim como a gente não vê regularização e proteção legislativa com relação às vendedoras de cosmético, o que chamamos de avonização. Ou seja, antes de se debater uma uberização do mercado de trabalho, a gente deveria ter olhado para essas mulheres que já estavam sem proteção nenhuma da legislação trabalhista e exploradas igualmente por uma multinacional. A Avon sempre explorou mulheres no mundo inteiro, assim como a Uber hoje explora homens no mundo inteiro. Essa pesquisa visou principalmente encruzilhar, interseccionar conhecimentos que já estão presentes na crítica do direito do trabalho com conhecimentos oriundos dessa perspectiva do feminismo negro afro-latino-americano, partindo principalmente de 2 intelectuais brasileiras, Cida Bento e Lélia Gonzalez. Cida Bento vai trabalhar com uma categoria chamada Pacto Narcísico da Branquitude, em que ela vai debater como certos aspectos da vida da população negra não é efetivamente tratada pela população, pela classe trabalhadora branca, como ela simplesmente não enxerga certas situações extremamente degradantes a que a população, que o trabalhador negro é submetido no Brasil. Como isso passa a somente ter alguma visibilidade quando atinge a classe trabalhadora branca no Brasil. E a Lélia Gonzalez, que trabalha com a perspectiva de americanidade e da necessidade de um feminismo afro-latino-americano, que coloque na centralidade das análises não só a categoria de classe e raça, de gênero e raça, mas que interseccione isso necessariamente com classe, porque dentro do Brasil a maioria das mulheres negras são mulheres negras trabalhadoras desprotegidas pelo direito do trabalho. E durante essa pesquisa, foi desenvolvida então uma metodologia a que se nomeou metodologia da encruzilhada, justamente por trabalhar, por resgatar as perspectivas de intelectuais brasileiras com relação à tridimensão das opressões, a opressão tridimensional, certo? Mas trabalhando com um universo simbólico brasileiro, um universo simbólico afro-brasileiro, um universo simbólico que está presente nos candomblés, que seria como a santeria em Cuba ou como os voodoos em outras partes do Caribe. Então seria um universo simbólico negro e do qual a gente aprende que nenhuma Nenhum trabalho se inicia sem que antes se peça permissão a quem está na encruzilhada. Ou seja, sem olhar para a encruzilhada, você não inicia um trabalho no candomblé. Sem olhar para a encruzilhada, não tem como, no direito do trabalho, a gente avançar. Porque você tem que olhar primeiro para a base da pirâmide social, para poder efetivamente ver como se dão e como se dá o avanço do capital ante os direitos do trabalhador e da trabalhadora. Quando você olha para a base da pirâmide social, você não perde. Mas se você olha somente para o alto da pirâmide social, ou seja, para trabalhadores brancos, homens, cis e héteros, você acaba vendo uma realidade mascarada. A realidade de quem tem alguns acessos. O que não é a maioria no caso do Brasil. No caso do Brasil, a maioria das pessoas trabalhadoras não tem direitos trabalhistas garantidos. Nós temos uma grande massa de pessoas que estão desempregadas formalmente, mas que trabalham. Ou seja, estão em postos precarizados. Ao passo que você tem uma minoria branca que tem a carteira assinada, os direitos trabalhistas respeitados, enfim, tudo como manda a legislação trabalhista. Ocorre que, ao longo dos anos, conforme o capital avança, ele vai buscando novos métodos de precarizar, inclusive, a vida dessas pessoas mais privilegiadas no sistema capitalista. Quando o faz, a gente olha e todo mundo, grandes organizações sindicais se assustam. Ocorre que essa realidade já era vivida anteriormente por mulheres negras. E é isso que nós apontamos. E aí vamos apontar em várias das legislações pretéritas à Lei 13.467 de 2017, que foi chamada de reforma trabalhista no Brasil, reforma entre muitas aspas, porque na verdade, ao invés de acrescentar direitos à classe trabalhadora, retirou direitos à classe trabalhadora, daí porque parte da crítica do direito do trabalho coloca essa reforma como uma contra-reforma trabalhista. Muito antes disso, você já verifica, por exemplo, desde 1964, a terceirização sendo permitida em algumas categorias. E que categorias são essas? A categoria de vigilância, a categoria de asseio e conservação e a categoria de assessoristas. Todas categorias majoritariamente ocupadas por pessoas negras, por homens e mulheres negros, vigilantes, homens negros e asseio e conservação e assessoristas, maioria de mulheres negras. A gente vai verificar, por exemplo, que desde 1942 a gente tem as mulheres, as empregadas domésticas, não sei se isso existe aqui em Cuba, creio que não, mas as empregadas domésticas organizadas no Brasil, tendo fundado sua primeira associação nesse período. Foi uma associação fundada na cidade de Santos por Laudelina de Campos Melo. Em 43, a gente tem a legislação trabalhista sendo aprovada, a consolidação das leis do trabalho. Ocorre que, justamente, essa categoria não está incluída na legislação, na proteção da CLT. Então, você tem uma categoria majoritariamente negra, composta por mulheres negras, que trabalham com trabalho doméstico e remunerado, para que mulheres brancas consigam sair para o mercado de trabalho e sem nenhuma proteção. Essa proteção só vem a partir de 2015, com uma alteração na Constituição Federal brasileira. Um pouco antes, inclusive, do golpe de 2016, quando a presidente Dilma Rousseff foi retirada do poder para que assumisse o vice-presidente e tocasse todas as contra-reformas trabalhistas e previdenciárias necessárias para que o capital se favorecesse nesse país. Além disso, e aí assim, eu deveria ter começado por isso, na verdade, e apresentar uma questão de como se dá a divisão racial no Brasil. No Brasil, as pessoas negras, o Brasil é um dos países, é o país com a maior população negra fora de África. O Brasil tem mais de 50% de sua população composta por pessoas negras. Apesar disso, nós somos subrepresentados em todas as esferas de poder. No legislativo, no judiciário, no executivo. Temos tido muitos avanços nos últimos tempos, mas esses avanços certamente não estão sendo acompanhados na questão da legislação trabalhista. porque justamente as categorias que têm maior desproteção na seara trabalhista são justamente as categorias em que tem maior presença de pessoas negras. Assim, o que se verifica é que, em que pese o aumento da representatividade, e isso o capital permite, esse aumento da representatividade, nós não conseguimos ainda ter efetivamente uma melhora na vida de quem está sendo super explorado dentro do sistema capitalista num país dependente como o Brasil. Obrigada.
Bien, entonces tiene usted, Javier, presidente de la filial de la Sociedad Cultural José Martí en Artemisa. Poncha el micrófono
para que puedan escuchar ahí arriba y traducir.
Ahí se oye bien. Bueno, una pregunta a la profesora de Israel. Primero que todo, brindarle la bienvenida, el saludo y el afecto de los martianos y las martianas de este país, y muy en particular de La Habana y Artemisa. Mi pregunta son dos preguntas en una. Su magistral conferencia nos habla de la realidad de las madres solteras en Israel. Mi pregunta es la siguiente. La madre soltera, antes del parto, ¿qué tratamiento recibe? Me refiero a estas madres que no reciben ayuda, que no tienen ayuda familiar. Antes del parto y después del parto, pregunto, ¿el Estado, el gobierno israelí les ayuda a resolver los problemas que puedan presentar con la compra de alimentos, de ropa, etcétera? ¿Reciben ellas alguna ayuda del gobierno de Israel? Gracias.
Se escucha el micrófono de Iris. Tiene que...
Microphone. Thank you for the welcome speech and your welcomeness. Well, it's a very nice and a very interesting question, but the government doesn't have any particular assistance for solo mothers in Israel. I mean, there are some forums in the social networking in the internet that are collecting the solo mothers and helping them social as well as financial, but the government doesn't need to do it because each mother that has you don't hear, you don't understand? Okay.
¿Y ahora?
Okay, so once again I welcome and appreciate your welcomeness things. The government doesn't have any particular assessment or some social platform for the solo mothers in Israel. They use the forum in the internet and they use their own groups to help them and to get their social help. But every mother, every person that has a newborn in Israel, she gets from the government a salary, a 75 of her salary, a former salary for at least 3 months. This is called salary for the labor, for the childbirth, and she can do it even though she is a solo or parented. After that, the Social Security in Israel gives special support to mothers or fathers, it's both ways, that has less salary than the average salary in Israel, but not because they are solo mothers, just because they have less income. So as a speech, in my presentation, we saw that most of the solo mothers that decide to have their first baby by choice, not by force, they are more income, they have a high income than the average income because they need to have more saving assets for the baby, because they don't get it from the government. Thank you.
Bueno, primero que todo, Aires, darle las gracias por su intervención y quisiera realizarle un comentario primero, seguido de 3 preguntas. Usted hablaba que su estudio se centró en un grupo de madres solteras de ingresos medio altos, según entendí, y cómo se establecen las líneas de consumo digital, en este caso, relacionado con la llegada de este nuevo bebé en madres primerizas y segundos hijos, también quería entender. Ahora, usted contempló en su estudio, aunque no haya sido directo, ¿encontró usted algunos indicadores que reflejaran el comportamiento, por ejemplo, de madres solteras también, pero que estuvieran en una categoría de ingresos inferior? Por ejemplo, usted mencionaba en la misma línea consumo, estatus, según lo que comprabas, entonces ibas a ser una mejor o peor madre. ¿Cómo entran en este patrón o no las madres de bajos ingresos que quizás están viendo el mismo producto digital pero no pueden acceder a él? ¿Son consideradas socialmente, se ven como malas madres? Esa sería la primera pregunta. Ahora, ¿qué relación existe entre... Usted decía algunas cosas interesantes en su exposición, hablaba del papel de los medios y cómo se establece este consumo digital. ¿Esto se vio fortalecido durante el proceso pandémico, debido al aislamiento, por ejemplo? Esa sería la segunda pregunta. Y una tercera pregunta. Este universo digital posibilitó, según su estudio, visibilizar la organización, digamos, de estas madres, de estas redes de madres solteras en el universo digital, entiéndase no solo para consumo, sino para consejos, vida diaria. ¿Funcionó así o se quedó solo a la hora de consumir algún producto dentro de la red? Gracias.
Thank you for your questions. I'll try to answer them all at once. First of all, the groups of the solo mothers. The groups for the solo mothers are not only for the consumption behavior, also for social networking and social support, and they use the forum to help each other and to support their major decision to bring their baby for the first time on their own. And to the second and the first questions, well, it's a very good question, because I thought that if you have a low salary or low income, then you won't buy a lot of things for the baby, right? But there isn't any correlation between that. I mean, the lower income that you have, you get more loans, only to buy the good products for the baby, because you want to show the environment that you are a better mother, even though you don't have a lot of income. The high educated mother and the high educated mother and the high income mothers, they don't have to show it for the environment. They know that they are good mothers, or even though they don't have to show it by products. Well, it's very interesting, but it's all the beginning of this post-doctorate of mine in focusing on first-time mother is because now I'm 60 years old, and I had my first child at the age of 39, and I was a workaholic. I work a lot. I had a lot of money, and I enjoyed money. And I thought that after bringing my first baby, I will come back to work. And I didn't. I got 1 month for a vacation, and I get my work in less percentage than before, and I was dedicated to my daughters. I have 2 daughters now. I was dedicated to my daughter, and I thought that maybe I'm the only crazy person that has it, but I thought, and then this is why I made my dissertation as well as my postdoctorate on this segment, and I thought that it doesn't matter, even if you are very high educated or you are low income or high income, once you have the first baby, you turn to crazy woman, you turn to crazy person, and all you matter is the baby or the person that depends on you. And this is all the things that I bought was to show the environment. Look, I am a good mother. I'm a good mother. Look, I am a good mother. And this is it. Yeah, thank you.
Margarita.
A la profesora de Brasil que expuso el problema de explotación fundamentalmente de la mujer en el sistema que abordó, que fue el trabajo, yo le hago la siguiente pregunta. Con este trabajo tan, que aborda el tema, ¿ustedes han pensado en hacer un diagnóstico con una comunidad determinada y llevar un plan de acción con esa comunidad donde estén las mujeres fundamentalmente negras y hacer reitero, un plan de acción con ellos que los beneficie? ¿Han tenido esto presente en su trabajo?
Gracias. Bien, yo soy una mujer que vengo de la militancia. No sé, estoy acá intentando hablar en español, entonces perdóname. Pero nosotros construimos junto a los sindicatos y junto a las organizaciones de mujeres negras de Brasil una forma de justamente que esta pesquisa llegue a estos movimientos para que estos movimientos se lancen a organizarse para exigir los derechos que caben. Pero nosotros en cuanto intelectuales, en cuanto personas de academia, tenemos la función, o creemos que tenemos la función, de municiar el movimiento social para que ello se lance a buscar una solución concreta. ¿Me has comprendido? Entonces, por ejemplo, este estudio, ello es la base de mi pesquisa de maestría, en que trabajo con el sindicato de aseo y conservación, y que enfrentamos la herida colonial, que es la explotación del trabajo de la mujer en Brasil ligado a aseo y conservación, o sea, de limpieza de los ambientes. Y esto se pasa y eso ocurre en Brasil desde el periodo de la esclavización de personas negras. Entonces, este trabajo empezó, esa pesquisa empezó justamente para que se levantase se había realmente un histórico, no solo en el aseo y conservación, pero en otras categorías de la misma cosa. O sea, que la superexplotación empezaba con los cuerpos negros. Y ahora que tenemos un resultado, estamos volviendo a los sindicatos para que ellos puedan hacer los debates necesarios para exigir
y esto ya viene ocurriendo con nuestro trabajo junto a los sin de limpieza, que es de una región metropolitana de la provincia de São Paulo, que es Baixada Santista.
Una pregunta, profesora, para usted. Igual gracias por la intervención, fue extremadamente interesante compartir esta mañana. Usted comentaba, incluso la respuesta que le dio a la colega también me respondió un poco cuando hablaba del papel de los sindicatos dentro de esta necesidad de cambios. Usted hablaba también de que evidentemente Brasil es un país con la población negra con un elevado %, y recordemos, que ya usted lo apuntaba, que no son los mismos los cambios políticos o que se puedan producir dentro de la sociedad si en el imaginario popular persiste estas presiones, esta visión que tiende a sacralizar un poco, como que, a ver si me explico, a tratar, a criminalizar hasta cierto punto la imagen de las personas negras, y si es mujer negra, pues el problema se incrementa. Mi pregunta es la siguiente: además de los sindicatos, ¿el movimiento asociativo ha jugado algún papel dentro de estas soluciones o intentos de reivindicación de la mujer negra?
Gracias por su pregunta. Bien, en Brasil las mujeres negras son organizadas hace mucho tiempo, sea por organizaciones como la de las mujeres de favela de Benedita da Silva en Rio de Janeiro, sea y Rio de Janeiro tem movimiento, en Rio de Janeiro hay un movimiento muy fuerte, muy grande de mujeres negras, ¿no? De a donde sale lideranças como Benedita da Silva, como Aniele Franco, como Marielle Franco, dentre otras, como Lélia González, como Neuza Santos, como otras intelectuales que van a trabajar junto con las lideranzas sociales. Y dentro de esta perspectiva, nosotros en São Paulo también tenemos muchas organizaciones que van a tener ese mismo caminar, como la Marcha de las Mujeres Negras, de enfrentamiento. Pero aún, mismo en las categorías sindicales, en los sindicatos, en que hay más representación de mujeres negras, aún tenemos la lideranza siendo ejercida por hombres blancos. Y hay un problema. Y por esto acabamos por ver que era acá. Acabamos por ver que las necesidades ni siempre están siendo acolhidas, no sé cómo se llama, acolhidas, recepcionadas en las negociaciones colectivas o en las luchas por mejores derechos dentro de la propia organización sindical. Esto está cambiando, está mejorando, pero aún es muy lejos de lo necesario, porque somos más de 50% de la población brasileña. No somos 10% o menos de 10% como es en Estados Unidos. Nosotros somos la mayoría de las personas trabajadoras en Brasil. Pero aún cuando se oye el Congreso Nacional, no tenemos ni mujeres, que son también más del 50% de la población, ni personas negras. Aún somos minorías en esos espacios de poder tan importantes. Y para dejar bien negritado acá, destacado. No podemos olvidar que el Congreso ha derrubado una presidenta, la primera presidenta electa en Brasil. Hombres, un Congreso que la mayoría es hombres, derrubaron a la primera presidenta electa en Brasil. Eso nos muestra la capacidad y lo cuán está avanzado en Brasil el conservadorismo. Y eso contamina el sindicato, esto contamina los movimientos sociales. Si olharmos los centros que han en Brasil de solidariedad a Cuba, vamos a ver que la mayoría de ellos es presidido por hombres blancos o mujeres blancas. Muy curioso, una vez que Brasil y Cuba son países con gran población negra. Yo incluso estoy acá hoy por mi cuenta y por cuenta de la Facultad de Derecho de la Universidad de São Paulo, porque el movimiento de solidaridad de São Paulo me ha impedido de venir porque he denunciado el racismo que ocurrió conmigo en la Casa de Cultura José Martí de Baixada Santista, conmigo y con otras personas, otras mujeres negras. Entonces es así que es en Brasil. Gracias.
Bien, le reitero el saludo para usted y para el pueblo, el hermano pueblo brasileño. Pregunto, esta minoría a la que usted se refiere, ¿qué nivel de participación, cómo alcanzan allí la educación, la cultura y la salud? Si esta minoría, el 50% que usted habla.
Esta minoría política, pero mayoría numérica,
Sí.
ella no tiene, como la profesora Malena había dicho, y que es de conocimiento general, en Brasil hay una gran mortalidad de la población negra, y esto es culpa del Estado. El Estado brasileño nos mata, sea por sus aparejos de opresiones, la policía, sea por una política de del derecho del trabajo no ser cumplido. Entonces también morimos trabajando, también morimos de trabajar, porque en la construcción civil, por ejemplo, donde también hay mucho de hombres negros trabajando sin protección, sin derechos garantidos, sin lo mínimo para vivir garantido por su trabajo. Entonces morimos de trabajar en Brasil. No tenemos un Ministerio del Trabajo que ahora estamos empezando a reconstruir con el gobierno Lula, pero no tenemos y hemos pasado por una destrucción de la protección, incluso con el Ministerio del Trabajo siendo destruido en el último periodo, y tenemos un acceso a educación muy parco y de difícil acceso. No es como Cuba, no es. La vida del negro en Brasil es un infierno. Cuando vengo acá, comprendo la limitación que hay aún en Cuba, porque el racismo es algo que está muy... el pensamiento colonial es muy difícil de nos librarnos de él.
Sí.
Y esto me parece muy nítido, pero la violencia a que nosotros somos sometidos es física. Una mujer negra en Brasil es tratada como una mujer accesible a todos los hombres, sea para trabajar hasta la muerte, sea para ser abusada. Y esto no es ningún exagero o algo que no sea comprobado por los datos. ¿Sí? Somos las que más sufren con la violencia doméstica, somos las que más sufren con la violencia sexual, somos las más explotadas en el mercado de trabajo. Somos las categorías donde están las mujeres negras son las que están más desprotegidas aún, en que pese sermos esta mayoría numérica.
Muchas gracias.
Sí, todavía ahora.
I mentioned that after my first childbirth, I took a month, but it wasn't a month. I took a year for a break off, and my husband that sits here helps me to correct this. Thank you.
¿Puedo hacer una pregunta para la profesora? Profesora, en Israel, dentro de esta pesquisa que realizó, las mujeres que trata son todas mujeres judías, todas mujeres israelenses. No hay mujeres de otra nacionalidad o de otra raza.
Thank you for your question. In Israel, there are Arabs and Jewish. There are religious, Orthodox religious, and non-religious. And in my study, I focus in the non-religious Jewish mother only, because the differences between the segments is so high that we have to. This is my current study. I'm focused now on the Orthodoxy, religious Orthodoxy Israel, in women in Israel, and also the Arab Israel woman. But each segment has its own consumption behavior, its own consumption usage of the internet. So I couldn't do in the same study all of the segments as one. I focused only on one segment. Thank you.
Si hay otra intervención, ¿alguna otra inquietud? Bueno, agradecemos profundamente la participación de todos y de esta manera concluye este panel.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to present myself. My name is
What is she doing? What did she say?
Some person will come.
Ah, okay.
Beg your pardon?
Aquí.
Okay. Okay. Great. So, welcome everybody. Once again, my name is Paweł Starosta. I am the professor of Łódź University. You know, Łódź is a city in Poland, placed in the center part of Poland. I am professor of sociology, and I prepared a presentation about the civic participation in European countries. So, agenda of my, presentation is as well. First, I would like to talk a little bit about the introduction. Then there is a few words about the civil society, about the globalization and public sphere. Then I will try to formulate the research problem and some hypotheses. Then a few words about the database and dependent variable, concept of civic participation, and I will also try to explain some theories which we use for the explaining changeability of civic participation in different countries according to some theories, and then empirical analysis. Because there is no people here, so I will go very, very quickly and not to take your time over measure. Why the civic participation is important? We can, indicate for several reasons. If there is no civic participation, there is no civic sphere, public sphere in each country. That's one important thing. Then, of course, we can say that civic participation legitimates of any kind of power, any kind of social-political order, not dependently whether it is democratic or autocratic or something like that. Everywhere, those who are keeping a power need some support from the rest of society. So civic participation is, from this point of view, very important. And civic participation, of course, also allowed us to control the local political power structure and, of course, state structure as well. And by the civic participation, we can develop, let's say, individual abilities, individual skills, and of course, participation is also a kind of, let's say, tool for the communication between the people and between the, structure. There are some words why the civic participation is growing popularity now. I would say that first I would indicate for the youth protest against the capitalist society at the end of the 60s in Europe and in America. It was a very huge social movement of youth people against this, period of the capitalism in the world. Then the fall of socialism in Eastern Europe, at the end of the 80s. And of course, to some extent, we should also mention about the collapse of the authoritarian or soldier regime in South America in 80s, 90s, mostly in Argentina and Chile. That's why. And so, generally speaking, we can distinguish according to the availability of non-elites and accessibility of elites, four type of socio-political order, so-called communal society, totalitarian society, civil society, and mass society. You have some conditions, so I will not, refer. Exactly, if we take into the consideration the globalization processes, so we can say that we can distinguish two options, two opinions. One's opinion is telling us that globalization is helping us to develop participation because we have more freedom and, individuals are much more independently in the past. So from this point of view, according to the Huntington, the globalization is also treated as a third wave of the democratization. But from the opposite point of view, there is also opinion that globalization is not a feature which allowed us to develop participation. Why? Because people are oriented toward the private life, not toward the public life. People don't want to, develop the public sphere, are concentrated very narrow on their or his own private problems, private questions, and so generally speaking, we can say that normative system during the globalization undergo the differentiation and relativization. So there is no one, common order, but there is very different proposals, very different options, or something like that. So from this point of view, participation is not very important tool for the public life. And problem formulation. First of all, I would like to tell you about the general level of civic participation in European countries. Then I would also describe the, general patterns of civic participation in European population. And I would like to indicate which model of the, which play independent variable like socioeconomic model, attachment model, or social capital model, to most extent can explain changeability of the level of the civic participation in kind of behavior which has been undertaken by the people in different group, in different social actions, or something like that. And I use 11 statements from the questionnaire of the European Social Survey, and here you have different items of civic participation. As you can say, the most popular, act of the civic participation is participation in voting. Then also important, sorry, I will, another is question connected with the Okay. Here you have a scale of civic participation in Europe, so you can see that about the 13% do not participate at all in any kind of activity. The most popular is just participation in 1, 2, or 3 acts of the civic participation. And I'm very sorry because it's also invisible. We can distinguish countries where our level of civic participation is relatively high or highest in Europe, and countries where the level of civic participation is very low. So we can distinguish 4 groups of countries in Europe. The higher level of the civic participation in Europe we can identify in Scandinavian countries. That's the highest level of civic participation. Then, the second place, there are, let's say, Western countries with the traditional democratic, background, like England, like Netherlands, like Belgium, like Switzerland, or something like that. The third group of the country are, let's say, countries from the south part of the Europe, like Italy, Spain, Greece, and some others. Exclude from this group, we can exclude Montenegro and let's say formerly Yugoslavian. Yeah. And the lowest level of civic participation we can observe in Eastern European bloc, like Latvia, like Poland, like Hungary, like some other, former communist country or something like that. I distinguish different types of civic participation in Europe. The first is participation social movement activity. That's the first type of, let's say, activity where people are engaged. It's a civic movement, civic social movement. Then the second, type is the typical political party participation, which means political activities. Then typical voting participation, exclusively voting, nothing more. And trade union, belonging to trade union and to take a part in any actions connected with the activity of the trade unions. Then let's a few words about the theories which explain us changeability of civic participation, so we can distinguish socioeconomic status theory, civic voluntarism theory, social capital, social attachment, and theory of socialization. I will also analyze the 3 types of theory: socioeconomic status, social capital, and theory of the attachment.
What is the theory of attachment?
What?
The theory of attachment, what do you mean?
The theory of attachment is to just a kind of assumption that if, for example, you have a strong psychical identification with the country, so you are engaged.
All right, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
In social theory, there is a kind of assumption that if you have a higher social position, you higher. If you are very poor, if you have a very low social status, so your public activity, your social activity is very low. And social capital theory is telling us that if you have, grow very huge network with some another people, you are better engaged in public sphere, better, engage in political activities. If you are alone, no friends, no trust toward the other people or something like that, then your level of participation is relatively low. And I just prepared just for regression analysis, and also for socioeconomic status, R square was just 0.14. So it was not so high, but relatively not bad. If we took into the consideration social capital model, the R square was a little bit 0.120, and attachment model was very low, L square. So, from this point of view, the conclusion is that the socioeconomic status, in the best way, explain us our activities. If people have, higher social position, they are much more engaged, they are much more participate in public sphere. If people are poor, if people have a low status, they are not engaged in public sphere. That's a general conclusion. And some other, statement. We can say that in Europe, almost 13% do not participate at all. 13%. 13%. Only, 18% participate in one act of the social participation. So I can conclude that, generally speaking, level of civic participation in Europe is not very high. Is relatively low. People are not engaged so much in, any kind of political activity beside of the social movement, beside of the social actions which are undertaken because of some rapid problem or something like that. But there is no systematic participation, I would say, in this way. So, the most popular forms of civic participation is participation in parliamentary elections. About 70% of the respondents who took part in the European Social Survey, and the most rare form of participation is just membership to the political party. Only no more than 4% of the European belong to the political party or something like that. And generally speaking, I would say that, of course, social economic status is this independent variable which explain changeability of the level of participation in the best way. So that's all what I would like to say. Thank you very much.
Yes, I have two questions. Professor Pavel, thank you very much for your interesting presentation. My wonder is, I have two questions. First of all, you mentioned that high income are more participate in the civic maybe because they have more time? This is the first question. Or if is anyway the time has any influence on, having the time has any influence on participating in the civic participation? And the question, the other question is, has the pandemic made any changes, for your opinion, in participating in the civic population, in the civic participation?
Thank you very much for your question. According to the first one, I would explain as follows. First of all, people who have a very high status or relatively high status, certainly they have more time to participate in many actions, but it is not only one explanation of the fact of their higher, participation. Why? Because they have much more interest, different kind of interest, also social interest. They want to support from some people. They want to be on the top, on the social publicity or something like that. That's why they try to be engaged in some voluntary activity. They want to be very active in any kind of the social movement activities or something like that. So that's my first answer to your first question. If we take into the consideration last pandemic, so I would say then in Europe, yes, there is a negative impact of the pandemic on the civic activity. With some, social movement actions which were oriented against the, policy, state policy connected with pandemic, with some restrictions or something like that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this was answered already in the presentation, as I just arrived in the middle of it, but could you speculate in general why the civic participation is so low in Europe?
So it is very, general and very, very complicated problem. I said that, level of civic participation in Europe is not so high. It's true, because people are engaged much more in private sector, not in public sector. So people have enough money, and the problem of the, their private interest and private consumption is on the first, place, then public sphere. If you have, any needs fulfilled, so you are okay, and then you don't need to be active, because you know that you will have some support, you will have some, donation or something like that. You can be okay. So that's why people are engaged mostly in the private social life, not in the public social life. Family is important, private life, family, right. Friends, activity or something like that, but not a public.
Are you
Oh,
made me wonder why don't I am more engaged in the public participation, because I don't care. I'm also only worried for myself and for my home. So you're right.
So on the same line of thinking, what would you say why people in Europe are prioritizing their private life and private affairs over public affairs, would you say?
So in my opinion, because there's a relatively high level of consumption and possibilities of fulfill needs. if the standard of life is higher, then you all of needs has fulfilled, and from this point of view, you don't need social activities or something like that, because you can select some friends and spend with them time, go to the holiday or something like that, but not be engaged in a very huge social movement against something very, negative phenomena or something like that.
So, with that being the case, do you think with the recent conflict between Russia and Ukraine, and with the natural gas being sort of restricted, causing sort of economic pains in Europe, do you think this will lend itself to increasing civic participation?
So it is hard to say, because it depends whether Europe will receive some resources of gas from some other side, not from Russia. But if this restriction will be very hard for the longer time, certainly some social movement will appear.
Thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you.
I have a question for you. I didn't hear so much, but do you think the main cause of the not so high level of participation in the civic causes in the public affairs is the absence of social conscience, that people is not into social work because they are not interested in, they have no interest in that social work, so they don't care simply what happens, because they only care about what happened in their private life. That's the main cause of that level of participation.
Yeah, in my opinion, if you have a very high level of life standards, so you are becoming rather more egoist.
Yeah.
And that's why, the public sphere is going down.
Okay.
To some extent, of course, not completely, because if you have some system of values very well internalized, that's, you are engaged. But we should be aware that majority of people are not, oriented according to some ideas, but they are, follow the living standard condition or something like that.
Yeah, so I think they are happy enough with the form of capitalism they have, because they have their needs fulfilled and they simply don't care.
If capitalism will be able to fulfill
exactly,
a need,
exactly, they don't care about other problems like racism, like
sure.
So.
Oh God. Yeah.
Buenos días, yo acabo de llegar, me perdí, la parte de la conferencia, pero buenos días, recién entré y no vi la parte de la conferencia, pero bueno, ahora viendo el debate y escuchando la intervención de mi compañera acá al lado, yo creo que también desde la experiencia cubana nosotros pudiéramos, Cuba siempre ha sido un referente en el trabajo sobre la conciencia social y la participación ciudadana. A mí me parece que es muy pertinente lo que ella preguntaba, si el capitalismo tiene ese papel en una cierta enajenación de las mentes de las personas, que los concentra solamente en satisfacer sus necesidades individuales y entonces no los pone en posición de pensar en el bien de la nación, en el bien de una comunidad, en el bien de un grupo, por ejemplo, como sucede en Cuba. Nosotros ahora mismo estábamos en el foro juvenil y estábamos hablando de este tipo de cosas, de los liderazgos sociales, de la participación de la juventud. A mí me parece que la experiencia cubana, sin querer exportar, ¿no?, el socialismo, nuestro sistema social, a mí me parece que nuestra experiencia en cómo llevar a las personas a pensar en más allá del egoísmo ese, ¿no? De satisfacer las necesidades propias, me parece que eso sería pertinente, o sea, sería importante también. No es una pregunta.
You know, the level of participation is depend on the two things. First, if you have very deeply internalized some norms, some values, and if you are under the pressure of some ideology, say you believe in this ideology, so you will follow this way. If you are skeptical and not, internalize some ideas very deeply, they will, generally speaking, follow a standard of life. And so it is not important whether it is socialism or capitalism. It is important whether this system can fulfill your needs. If you can, indicate that your, needs are fulfilled better and better, then you will support this system. If you will see that there are some problems, so you will be very more skeptical toward this, social political order. For example, at the beginning of the immediately after the Second World War, there is very high level of support in Poland was toward the, let's say, socialism. But then, after the some crisis which has come to Poland in, let's say, 70s, 80s, and something like that, people has becoming more skeptical to this. Yeah.
Profesor, en esta su pesquisa, y me gustaría de parabenizarlo por la ponencia y por la presentación, me gustaría de saber si tomó en su base de datos la cuestión de raza y la participación o no de las personas que son súper explotadas dentro de Europa, o sea, los inmigrantes.
It's very hard to say to me because there are no so well done, empirical research about the changeability of civic participation according to the race in Europe. The mostly, the people under the survey are the white, and there is no differentiation. So I cannot formulate, some ideas in this field because I have no background in the empirical data. I'm very sorry for that.